This is the story of a daughter.
Travelers, this is Carlos.
Someone just hit my car.
Is everyone okay?
And the insurance company that believes people always come first. If it matters to you, Travelers Insurance will help protect it. Travelers, speak to an independent agent today.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
This is Beer in Front, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. I'll talk about some old school beers that maybe you've forgotten about, some new beers that have the potential to be a classic. I'll also talk to various people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a proud member of the Odd Pods Media Network. I have a good show for you this week. I talked with Emma and Stephanie. They're over at Fresh Air Friendship. They plan on hitting every one of Illinois' great state parks and having a beer when they're done, because Illinois beer is better outdoors. Even if you don't live in the great state of Illinois, you could come visit, hit up a great state park and a brewery. So please stay tuned and listen for that. It's been a good summer so far with a lot of interview shows. I have one next week that's coming out with Hops on Pops. That's a podcast out of Florida. They talk about music and beer. So two of my favorite things. And then after that, I have nothing else lined up or in the can. So if you have any ideas about what you'd like to hear on an upcoming show, please email me, dave@beerinfront.com, or you can find me on social media. I don't know what Twitter is now, if it's X or whatever, but you're probably better off emailing me because who knows what's going on over at the Bird app. But yeah, if you have an idea, please email me, dave@beerinfront.com. Put up a couple good videos last weekend, so please head over to the YouTube channel and check those out. I even did one for sparkling water in a can, so not just beer on the YouTube channel. There's plenty of other content, so please check that out. If you'd like to support the show, you could head over to patreon.com/beerinfront. And I do thank you for listening. I thank those that support the show. I just thank you. So cue up the Led Zeppelin and let's play Thank You. In beer news this week, Rupee beer, and they're not available in Chicago yet, so somebody get Rupee in Chicago, because I'm anxious to try this beer. I've heard good things about it. They're coming out with a new Mango Summer Ale. I saw this on beerconnoisseur.com, so that should be coming out soon, but hopefully if they distribute in the great state of Illinois, I can get my hands on the regular Rupee beer and the new Mango Summer Ale. Lagunitas is bringing back their Born Yesterday Fresh Hop Ale later on this year. That was always a good one. I haven't had that in a while. I'm not sure I've seen this one in a while, actually. But that was always a good fresh hop ale, so look for that coming out in the fall. Growing up after a game of Little League or soccer, doesn't matter what gender you are, you always had some orange slices afterwards. Truly is teaming up with the U.S. women's soccer team to come out with Truly orange slices. They're going to be in 16-ounce 4-packs. It's going to be available, I believe, right now. I haven't seen it yet, but it should be out available for purchase while the U.S. women's team is competing in the World Cup. So look for Truly Orange Slices. And finally, Dave Infante has been the go-to person on all of the Anchor Steam news that's been coming out in the last couple of months. But he reported on the 19th that the employees of Anchor, or the old employees of Anchor, they're coming out with a bid to try to save the brewery from liquidation. You could check out Dave's articles over on VinePair, or you could follow him on social media. But if you're looking for news on Anchor Steam, don't listen to me. Go to Dave Infante over on VinePair, and you'll get all the up-to-date information. Hopefully, the employees can rescue this great brand. All right, welcome back. When most people think of Illinois, they assume Chicago. Even people that live here in the city can't imagine there are fantastic state parks quicker than a flight to somewhere else. Emma and Stephanie started Fresh Air Friendship during the lost dark years of 2020 through 2022 to get outside and enjoy every one of Illinois' great state parks. Emma, Stephanie, I thank you so much for waking up and coming on this morning. How's everything going?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Before we get started, tell people about yourselves and how Fresh Air Friendship got started.
Yeah, sure. So we met in 2009. We met at freshman year of high school, which was 2008, but we might not have met until later that year. Yeah. Okay. So we went to Northside College Prep together in the city, both born and raised in Chicago. Now, I mean, personally, I never really hiked. My family's not very outdoorsy. Even my parents, who have lived in Chicago for 60 plus years, hadn't gone to a state park before I dragged them to one. We hang out with about 6 girls from our high school still, and we go on a girls trip every year. So when we were a little bit broke after college, we were like, we're going to go down to Starved Rock to Utica, and because hiking is free. And so we rented an Airbnb and went out hiking and kind of discovered how much we loved it. And then during the pandemic, kind of found ourselves going back to Starved Rock kind of a lot. I think about 3 or 4 times, either with you or other friend. And after a while, I was like, I love Starved Rock. I love that area. It's beautiful. But I'm like, there's got to be more places where we can go explore. So I made this giant spreadsheet because I'm the queen of spreadsheets now. And so it's 132 parks in the state of Illinois using the IDNR's website. And now we're trying to visit every single one.
So if anyone needs some Excel work done, you know who to go to here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. How many of the state parks have you visited so far?
We have been to 39, and we're hoping by the end of hiking season this year, we'll have visited 9 more.
Okay. Do you do this every week or on weekends, or just depending on your work schedule and stuff?
We hike on the weekends. It depends on kind of just what we've got going on that summer.
Yeah.
And we can hike through mid-November. That's about our cutoff.
Yeah.
But this summer we're doing a lot. We're hiking every weekend, taking the entire month of June off just because June was so busy and we were planned other places. But now we're fully back in it now. It started up again last weekend. So
yeah, you mentioned mid-November. My wife's birthday is November 6th, and she loves hiking, and she's who got me into this. And we always go on her birthday, and it always seems like it's beautiful that time of year to go. It's not as hot. You're not, it's not 90 degrees out, and we're all sweating out there. So yeah, late fall hikes are awesome, in my opinion.
Yeah, sometimes you get those fall colors too. A couple of the parks we went to last year, late was Weldon Springs, and all the colors reflecting off the lake. It was beautiful. Yeah, we managed to be down there the weekend where the colors were the best.
Oh, cool.
And the photos from that trip are just fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that time of year. You're collaborating with the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild on Illinois Beer is Better Outdoors. I love this idea. How did this come about?
So the magic of Instagram. So I actually reached out to them about their passport program, which is kind of a fun thing they do too in the summertime, to go visit different breweries and get stamps and stuff like that. But when we started our project, we always go out for a drink somewhere afterwards. Again, that kind of started with our girls trip when we went down to Utica. Our Airbnb gave us like a free wine tasting at the winery down there, August Hill. And so they were like, oh, it's a nice way to go in nature. And then you just kind of relax and head to the brewery. So we're kind of collaborating with them on that and kind of showcasing people that they could go outside and hike and, go to state parks, or like we're going to Lake Michigan is one of the ones we're going to. And then we're going to Sketchbook in Evanston, the Sculpture Park in Skokie, and then Temperance Brewing as well. So it's just kind of nice to have that place to kind of like decompress after a hike, grab a beer, just chill out, have some time to talk and hang out with friends and things like that too. So as long as you're willing to explore a little bit and put a little effort in, you can really find some great places in Illinois, both natural and breweries.
Is there a favorite brewery that you've been to on your journey? Like you weren't expecting, like, oh, wow, this place is great.
So for me, I think it's the ones that I wouldn't think to go to that are maybe a little further out. So the one that I enjoyed a lot that we went to this year was it's called Limerick Brewing, and it's in Lincoln, Illinois. They had a pina colada cream ale that was probably my favorite beer that I've had on this project. It was absolutely delicious. My favorite brewery that I want everyone to know about this brewery is Mad Hatchet in Shorewood. It's themed around like horror movies.
Okay.
And we went the Saturday before Halloween, and it was just the most perfect timing. And I was so impressed with all of these beers that they had. But Shorewood is, it's not the furthest, but it's a lot to get to from this area. So it's not like we're going there every day.
Yeah. So you're bringing growlers home with you when you go visit there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Reading your bio, Emma, you mentioned there that you had a 2-month trip to the UK, Iceland, Ireland. That sounds really cool to me. What were some of the highlights of that trip?
I could talk about that trip for hours. I could probably make that into my own podcast.
Okay, there you go.
But there were tons and tons of really cool experiences there. I got to visit Loch Ness. I got to see the Northern Lights in Iceland.
Wow, awesome.
I flew my parents out to visit me while I was there because they'd never done Europe travel before. But the biggest highlight for me, and this would probably be a little bit like most people probably wouldn't do this. I flew on a 20-person plane to this tiny island, which is the northernmost part of Iceland. And it was to cross into the Arctic Circle.
Okay.
I remember standing on this island, looking out at the Arctic or at the Arctic Ocean just by myself. And it was the most unreal experience because I'd never felt so far away from everyone and everything. It was completely unlike anything else I'd ever done.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Like you're out there just so far away from everything. It's like, I can't even put a picture on Instagram. There's no signal out here.
There's so many experiences, and like just drinking a Guinness while you're in Ireland. Yeah. Drink local.
Stephanie, you mentioned in your bio, like myself, you have general anxiety disorder. How do you feel that going on hikes helps you recenter everything?
I think during COVID especially, I think a lot of people struggled with their mental health.
Yeah.
Myself more so probably than anyone else, because I was so great like having a routine. Like I went to work, went to hang out with my friends. I had like trips planned. I would go places with that, visit my sister, things like that. And then just all of a sudden it was just like pulled out from under you. And you're like, what do I do now? I'm sitting at home, like with my dog. Like I love my dog, but I need to see people.
Yeah.
And so it's just really nice to be able to kind of put the phone away and just get lost in nature. I think that was my biggest thing during the pandemic was I would just be on Twitter constantly or like Facebook and be like, what's happening? What are the restrictions? What are the statistics today? What are these things? And then all of a sudden when you just go out in nature and your phone's in your backpack, you don't care. You might take it out to take a picture or trail navigator, things like that. But you're just, you're there amongst, the stillness of it all. And you get to hear the birds chirping, or, if you're by a river, you get to hear the river rushing by. So it's just nice to be able to get out of the house and just take a deep breath and just like nothing else matters right now. Just you and nature.
You also mentioned you have a rat terrier, and that
I do.
Snoring sound you hear in the background, I think, is mine. Do you take Buddy on walks with you?
So he hasn't been to a state park because he's older. He's almost 12, and he's just kind of a grumpy gentleman. I call him. He's also lazy, so I feel like if I walked, I would have to carry him like halfway through, and he's 15 pounds, and that doesn't seem like a lot, but then your arms start hurting.
Yeah.
But I've taken him. I actually live right by the Cook County Forest Preserve, so we've taken him out there, and he loves it. So many things, exciting things to smell. And
yeah, we took Moira Rose out a couple times, and she just turned 7, so she still has some energy, and she did like it, but it was just, it was a lot of work taking her with us and stuff. And plus I'm sure leash reactive. She always wants to like take off, so we really have to keep her on a leash. But it was fun because I think she slept for 2 days after taking her on a hike. It was great. We had some peace and quiet.
Yeah, for sure.
Emma, your plate is full with hitting up all the parks in Illinois. Is there a place outside the state that is on your bucket list?
I have so many places I want to go. She has heard me talk about probably 4 different road trips. Yep. The one that I'm actively planning, I'm planning on going to Alaska next year for my birthday. I'm also trying to figure out a trip around Arizona during the winter when it's not 117 degrees out.
That's like insane. Their temperatures the last couple of weeks.
I want to visit all 50 states.
Okay.
So just trying to tick that off is slow going, but I'll get there eventually. I think I'm surprised I have so many. I'm at 20, I think. Yeah, I'm at 18.
Are you doing, or do you plan? It's hard to say what you're going to do in 5-10 years, but are these like road trips in your head, or Alaska you'll probably fly to, but
yeah. It depends on the trip. I've got some road trips I want to do.
Okay.
The trip around Arizona I want to do as a road trip, and I also really want to do the Pacific Coastal Highway.
Yeah, that's cool.
But sometimes there are just cities I want to go to.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends on the area.
Yeah, definitely that Pacific Coast Highway trip is phenomenal. And that's the one time I did that with a buddy of mine. We just kept stopping. All right, we got to pull over and we have to see this. And it was such a cool trip.
Mm-hmm.
Have you both always been interested in craft beer?
So when I first started out drinking, so I went to the University of Iowa. So I don't want to say big party school, but there's enough you can find.
Yeah.
And I think I just started drinking the sweetest thing possible. So I just started with Mike's Hard. And now I think about drinking Mike's Hard and I'm like, oh, that's so ugh. I can feel the acid reflux.
Yeah.
But I think I was introduced to my gateway beer would have been Summer Shandy. My cousins have campers up in Wisconsin, so I visited them and we were just around a campfire and they're like, you gotta try this beer. And I'm like, okay. And so that kind of was my gateway beer. But I really think my sister and her now husband, got me into craft beer the most. So they used to live down in the city in Roscoe Village. So we'd go to Beguile and Half Acre and things like that. And now they actually moved out to Fort Collins, Colorado, which is if you love outdoors and you love breweries, that is the place to visit. So I was out there in February. We did Rocky Mountain National Park and then went to Odell Brewing, which is one of my favorites out there. And then my other favorite out there is Funk Works. Is that what I said it was? Yeah, Funk Works. It's kind of a smaller brewery, but they do a lot of sours and funky type things. And I just thought it was really good and really interesting. So that was a great place to visit for that.
Yeah.
I started drinking by drinking cider, and I got into beer in general because the bar by my college, because I went to school in downtown Chicago, and that bar just didn't have a good cider option. So I started drinking Blue Moon as my gateway into beer.
Yeah.
And I was not I didn't know anything about craft beer before a few years ago. And it was just because like Stephanie and a couple of our other friends always wanted to go to breweries, and I wanted to hang out with my friends, so I just went with them.
Stephanie, you're a bad influence. Yes.
Typically, yes.
Yeah. Do you have favorite breweries in, like, I'm assuming you're both from Chicago. Do you have favorite breweries like locally you love hitting up?
I'm a big fan of Microphone. I think that their beers are always like super interesting, and also I'm like really into music. So kind of the way that they, name their beers after music and things like that too. Plus they just expanded their patio. So I'm like super excited to go visit. And then lately it's been Temperance Brewing has been high on my list in Evanston. So I grabbed their Golden Ale with pineapple. That's been my like drink the last week in my fridge. So that's exciting. Every time we go to Church Street in Itasca, I have a really, really great time. And we've gone there many times.
Yeah.
I also just went to Alarmist Brewing for the first time this week, and I would love to go back.
Yeah, that's a really cool spot. Yeah, all of those spots are great. I haven't been to Church Street in years, but that was always a good time. It's just funny how a lot of like suburban breweries all seem to be like in industrial park, like you mentioned, Microphone and Church Street. It's just like, okay, am I going the right way? You're looking at Google Maps trying to figure this out.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, another thing, like kind of why we started doing the breweries after the state parks is that we kind of noticed that like it takes on kind of the personality of the community and being able to make those like discussions with the staff and being like, here's our project. Like, have you been to the state park? Do you have any insider tips, things like that too? So like that kind of connection's been kind of like a fun secondary part to drinking.
Are like on your hikes, is it just the two of you or with your group of friends, or are there any plans for like in the future a meetup and maybe you could do a tour? I'm making progress for you two. I want this to go big, so you could tour, like have a bus tour out to somewhere, and you could be the tour guide. Do you have anything like that in the works, or like a book of state parks and breweries to go to?
It's mostly just us.
Okay.
We do bring friends sometimes, like our group of 6 friends will come by. Yeah. And we have a friend who lives further south who we always bring hiking with us because she lets us stay with her for free. So, okay, I get baby snuggles and to stay for free, and she lets us stay at her house. It's a good deal. So it's just kind of been us. We do have like a TikTok for every park we go to. So I do all the social media stuff. So I'll do all the video editing for that. And then like Instagram Reels, Instagram, things like that. And then you write like a really extensive, nice blog, especially if you want like history of the park, like check out the blog.
Okay.
He goes deep into stuff. But I've learned so much about the history of Illinois. I've learned way more than I ever thought I would. We haven't thought about doing like a meetup or plans yet. I mean, like we're always available if you like have questions. You can always message us on whatever platform. But I mean, down the road, could it be a possibility? Yes, but not this year. And definitely not this year. I think we're so focused on actually visiting them all ourselves.
Yeah.
And at this point, we don't know about all of them. Yeah. So it would be very hard to give a tour when we don't have information yet.
Yeah. I really thank you both for coming on. Where could people find you online, website? Where could people get a hold of you?
So our website and blog is freshairfriendship.com. That has links to all our socials as well. So we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads, although I haven't really figured out Threads yet. So if you don't see me post on there, that's why. When we go to a park, she'll do a blog. I'll do a TikTok video that I'll put on, all of our other socials as well. I'll put some really great photography on there as well because, she's our queen photographer. So we get some really great shots of like birds and stuff. We do some ridiculous stuff to get those shots. But sometimes I'm never so still in my life than when she's trying to take a picture of like a cardinal. Yeah. But we just do summaries of all the parks and things like that too. So it's just, we want to share our journey with everyone and kind of encourage them to get out in nature and, maybe find some breweries along the way too.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Stephanie, Emma, I thank you so much for taking time out this morning. I'll let you go enjoy a hike later on today, but check out Fresh Air Friendship and also Illinois Beer is Better Outdoors. So check out the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild. Thanks again, ladies.
All right. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
This is the story of a daughter.
Travelers, this is Carlos.
Someone just hit my car.
Is everyone okay?
And the insurance company that believes people always come first. If it matters to you, Travelers Insurance will help protect it. Travelers, speak to an independent agent today.
Leftovers or the DMV
number 97
or house cleaning or Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
I'm Richie, a.k.a. Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Devin, a.k.a. Special Delivery Dev.
We're the Super Media Bros podcast. And each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
music,
television,
pro wrestling,
and much more. Check us out at supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. Shades on.
We're off.
Be sure to catch the latest from Super Media Bros wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, the beer in front of me this week, since I talked about Illinois beer is better outdoors, well, I'm drinking this indoors, but Ruby picked up. She went over to Metropolitan last week, and this is a beer that I had last year. This is in collaboration with Seipps and the great Chicago Brewseum. This is Chicago's very own. This is a beer in collaboration with WGN TV and radio. This is a golden lager at 5%, so let's crack open Chicago's very own. Chicago's very own is a beautiful color. It's a nice amber color, good carbonation, good foam here. Really get the nice malty flavors from the aroma. I get maybe a little of the hops, but the smell is great. It just smells like a classic beer. No, that's really good. It's just a rock solid beer you could drink all day. 5%, wonderful malt flavors up front, a little bit of hops, not a lot, but you know they're there. This would be a great beer for having all the time. Doesn't matter what time of year. This is just a good, refreshing beer. You're going to listen to WGN, maybe back in the day listening to like Wally Phillips, or back when they had the Cubs, you could listen to a Cub game and drink this. Really good beer. Everything that Metropolitan and Seipps puts out is great. This collaboration with the great Chicago Brewseum is no exception. So you could pick it up at Metropolitan. I think you could find it elsewhere at like your local liquor stores, bottle shops. But if you see Chicago's very own golden lager, put it in the cart. And I need to thank my wife, Ruby, because she put it in the cart for me. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you for listening. Once again, I want to thank Emma and Stephanie over at Fresh Air Friendship. Please check out their website. I'll have their details in the show notes. Go out on a hike, enjoy one of the great state parks in Illinois. Grab a beer when you're done, because Illinois beer is better outdoors. All right, everyone, I'll see you next week on the show. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. All right, we'll see you next week.
Leftovers. Or the DMV.
number 97
Or house cleaning. Or
Chumba Casino always brings the fun. Play over 100 different games online for free from anywhere. You could redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. Live the Chumba life. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
¿Quieres más de la vida? ¿Más éxito en el trabajo? ¿Más por tu dinero? ¿Más para tu familia? Encuentre todo eso y más en STF en Sioux City, Iowa. Abrirá su futuro a más y le encantará lo que Sioux City tiene para ofrecer. Aplique hoy en SiouxCityPort.com.